and gentlemen, welcome back. This is CJUFCPicks, the Smoke Sesh. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like the video and comment on the video. Even if you're a hater, even if you don't like us, comment on the video. I will love to see your comments. Help the algorithm out, and I thank you so much. I very much appreciate it. Tonight, we are breaking down UFC Fight Night, Song Yadong versus Gutierrez, going down this Saturday at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. You already know what we do here on CJUFC Picks. We blaze one up and we talk UFC fights. So I hope you join us for the smoke sesh. And like I said, tonight we're going to break down Song Yadong versus Gutierrez, giving you our full picks and our full predictions right here on this channel. All for free. So all I ask for you is to subscribe and like us. But before we give you our breakdown, before we give you our picks, let's give you a small recap on what happened last week on UFC Fight Night. Dariush versus Sadukian. I did not do so well last week, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry if you told me I went 5 out of 12 in my picks. Not so good, but I'm still doing very good for the year. 63% correct. That's pretty damn good in the last 12 months. So give me some credit here. I can't get them all right, but I'm going to give you at least 9 to 10 picks correct coming up for this card. But like I said, small recap from Dariush versus Sadukian. Let's start off with the first fight. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm very sick right now. That's why I didn't release my video yesterday, but I'm a little bit better today. So I do excuse me if I have the sniffles and coughing and sneezing. I do apologize in advance. The first fight was Veronica Hardy versus Jamie Lynn Horth. I did pick Jamie Lynn Horth to win, and I did lose that pick. I did lose that bet. Um, Veronica Hardy won that fight via decision. Jared Gooden versus Wellington Turman. I did pick Wellington Turman to win that fight, and I did have him in a bet. I did lose that bet because Jared Gooden did win that fight via submission. Third fight on the card, Rodolfo Bellato versus Ihor Pretoria. This was my first victory, my first win on the card. Rodolfo Bellato winning that fight via knockout, just as I predicted, and that did win that bet. My next bet that I cashed in was Jakar Close versus Joe Selecki. Jakar Close had a highlight knockout that should be in the highlights for years to come. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Jakar Close had that slam knockout against Joe Selecki in the very first round, and I cashed that bet at minus 122 with Jakar Close. That was a good call for me. Very good bet. Next fight was Cody Brundage versus Zach Reese. Exact same thing happened in this fight that happened in the last fight. It was a slam knockout. Who would have thought that would happen? Cody Brundage did a slam knockout to Zach Reese, followed by some punches in the very first round. I didn't pick Cody Brundage to win that fight. I thought Zach Reese was going to knock him out because Cody Brundage ain't that great. But he is improving, so we'll see what he does in his next fight. The next fight that I should have got correct, because I did pick Miesha Tate to win in the beginning, but in the end, I switched my pick, and I should not do that. I'm not gonna do that moving forward. I promise. I'm gonna stick with my picks. Miesha Tate did win her fight against Julia Avila via submission in the third round, and she looked pretty damn good. So we'll see how she does in her next fight. Oh my god, the next fight that happened was my lock of the card. Terrible lock of the card. Terrible call. Terrible bet on my part, so I do apologize if you tell this bet. It was Dustin Stoltzfus against Punahele Soriano, and I don't think Punahele Soriano is UFC caliber anymore. He lost to submission from Dustin Stoltzfus, and he looked very good in that fight. So that was a bad call in my book, and I'm sorry about that. But I bounced back in the next fight, ladies and gentlemen. Joaquim Silva did defeat Clay Guida in a very close fight via decision. Um, and he hit a 10-legger for me. I had a 10-legger going on with UFC, basketball, hockey, you name it. He hit a 10-legger. $5 won me like $55 and like something cents. I forgot the cents, but it was a good bet. So, congrats to me. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen. I told you guys in my last breakdown, but I switched my pick again. But I did say in my last breakdown, go back and watch that. I said Sean Brady was going to bounce back and win his fight. And my dummy self picked Kevin Gastelum because everybody said Kevin Gastelum looks great. Kevin Gastelum is going to be his old self. Nah, man. I should have picked Sean Brady. I knew Sean Brady was going to win that fight. But it is what it is. I got that fight incorrect. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, I did bounce back here. And this was a very good call, a very good bet. I got him at plus 142, a very good line. Roth Font versus Davison Figueiredo. Davison Figueiredo looks very good at bantamweight, ladies and gentlemen. I think he has a chance to be a top guy in this division, and he looked very good against Rob Font, one of the top guys in the bantamweights. So yeah, that was my dog of the card, ladies and gentlemen. Davison Figueiredo. I think that's 2 weeks in a row or 3 weeks in a row that my dog of the card hit. So if you want to know who my dog of the card is, ladies and gentlemen, you know what to do. Go over to Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, type it in. CJUFCPicks. I'm all over the place. Just give me a like, give me a sub. I really appreciate it. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, was the co-main event of the evening. Jalen Turner versus Bobby Green. And I did pick Jalen Turner up when I first saw the fight announced. But then I said, oh my god, this is a short notice fight. But Jalen Turner has the height advantage, the reach advantage. So I should have went with my original pick. I can't change my picks anymore. And I refuse to. I don't care what anyone says. You guys are going to like my picks for this next card. But anyway, yeah. Turner defeated Bobby Green via knockout. And my next pick was correct. I knew that Beneil Dariush was chinny. I did say that on my last breakdown, and he proved it again here, folks. Ahmed Sarukian knocked him out in the first round. That was the recap. Now let's go right into it, folks. For UFC Fight Night, Song Yadong versus Chris Gutierrez. First fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the women's strawweight division. We have Rayanne dos Santos versus Talita Alencar. Rayanne dos Santos, she's 14 and 6, 28 years old, 5'2", 62-inch reach. Talita Alencar, she's 4 and 0, 33 years old, 5'1", 58.5-inch reach, and I believe both of these women are making their official UFC debut. Rayanne dos Santos coming in at minus 140 favorite. Talita Alencar, she's coming in at plus 115 underdog. I'm staying far away from this fight. I'm telling you right now, money line wise, might bet the over depending on the line because I don't think any of these girls are really finishers. Most of their fights have been by decision. Um, Talita Alencar only five professional fights in her career. Rayanne dos Santos, tough Brazilian, 20 fights on her record. She's also making her UFC debut though. She is the younger fighter. She does have the height advantage, and she definitely has the reach advantage by like 3 or 4 inches. So give me Rayanne dos Santos to win by decision. Confidence level a 6. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's flyweight division, we have Tatsuro Taira versus Carlos Hernandez. Tatsuro Taira. He's undefeated at 14-0. 23 years old, 5'7", 70-inch reach, minus 440 favorite. Carlos Hernandez, 9-2, 30 years old, 5'8", 67-inch reach, plus 340 underdog. I think that line is a little off here. Carlos Hernandez is definitely a live dog. Tatsuro Taira, though, a very young, good prospect coming from Japan. He's undefeated at 14-0. He's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage, and the dude is a killer. He's a submission machine. Most of his finishes are by submission. So if he wins this fight, he's going to win by submission or decision. I am picking Tatsuro Taira, and my confidence level is a 6. Because, like I said, Carlos Hernandez is a live dog. So I would not be surprised if he pulls the upset. But UFC is trying to build a Japanese star. And I think Tatsuro Taira is that guy in the bantamweight division. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is gonna be a banger, and it's a catch weight fight at 140 pounds. We have Daniel Marcos versus Carlos Vera. Daniel Marcos, he's undefeated at 15-0, 30 years old, 5'7", 69-inch reach. Carlos Vera, he is 11-3, 36 years old, 5'6", 69.5-inch reach, making his UFC debut. Number 1 in Louisiana, so not a bad fighter, I guess. But 36 years old does worry me. He's only had 14 fights in his career, and he's pretty old making his UFC debut. We got a proven Daniel Marcos. This will be his third fight in the UFC, and he hasn't lost under the UFC umbrella. He's won his Contender Series fight against Brandon Lewis. He won against Simon Oliveira, and I made Simon Oliveira my dog of the card that time. I do remember that. And he knocked him out by knees to the body. And then he won his last fight to Davy Grant, which is a veteran in the UFC, I would say, via split decision. So those fights are proven to me. The guy is proven. He's undefeated. I've seen him fight in the UFC before. Carlos Vera doesn't have a lot of footage out there. So I'm going with the more proven fighter, the undefeated guy from Peru, Daniel Marcos, to win inside the distance, knockout, TKO, or submission. There's no line right here on Typology. I'm assuming he's going to be a heavy favorite, and I might make him my lock of the card. And if you guys want to find out my official lock, go over to Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok, CJUFCPicks. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the women's bantamweight division, we have Stephanie Egger versus Luana Santos. Stephanie Egger, she is 8-4, 35 years old, 5'6", 68-inch reach. Luana Santos, she is 6'1", 23 years old, 5'6", 67-inch reach. This fight is going to be closer than the number says. Luana Santos, minus 200 favorite. Stephanie Egger, a plus 165 underdog. Stephanie Egger definitely has more UFC experience, definitely fought the tougher competition. Luana Santos, she's 6-1. She's riding a 3-fight winning streak. She was in the LFA before, and she won her UFC debut against Juliana Miller. But to me, Juliana Miller isn't very good. Um, I gotta go with Stephanie Egger here. I gotta take my dog shot here, folks. But I'm not betting this fight. I'm not betting this fight whatsoever. I just think Stephanie Egger has fought the tougher competition, has more experience in the UFC, and I like her fighting style. She's number 24 in the bantamweight division, and this is a bantamweight fight, so Luana Santos is going to a new division. She's moving up 10 pounds. She's moving up a weight class. So yeah, give me Stephanie Egger to win this fight via decision. My confidence level 6 out of 10. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is gonna be a banger. This is a rebooked fight from last week's card. Scheduled in the men's lightweight division, we have Steve Garcia versus Melqy Costa. Steve Garcia, he is 14-5, 31 years old, 6 foot even, 73-inch reach. Melqy Costa, he is 20-6, 27 years old, 5'10", 73-inch reach. I'm sticking with my pick from the last breakdown, from the last card. I'm sticking with Melqy Costa to win by submission or decision. Steve Garcia is a live dog. He can pull out the upset in this fight. So I will not be surprised if Steve Garcia wins. But I do not like that he pulled out of the fight last week. He did get sick last week. That's why the fight got canceled. So give me Melqy Costa. I got a confidence level of 6.5 out of 10. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's flyweight division, we have Hyun Sung Park versus Shannon Ross. Hyun Sung Park, undefeated at 8-0, 28 years old, 5'7", 66-inch reach. Shannon Ross, he is 13-8, 34 years old, 5'6", 66-inch reach. This fight is pretty easy to call in my book. Shannon Ross, not that great. Riding a 3-fight losing streak, major red flag. Hyun Sung Park, undefeated at 8-0. He's a really young prospect in the UFC. He's won his Road to UFC fight, and he's won his UFC debut. And I think he's going to get it done here, folks. Most of his fights get done by submission, but I'm going to bet him inside the distance. He's a minus 220 favorite, and I think that's a really good number for him. Compared to Shannon Ross, plus 180 underdog, I think that's pretty much justified there. Hyun Sung Park to win inside the distance, and I think I might make him my lock of the card. Lock number 2, but find out who's my official lock on my social media platforms, CJUFCPicks. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the main card, scheduled in the welterweight division. We have Kenan Song versus Kevin Jussett. Kenan Song, he is 21-7, 33 years old, 6 foot even, 71.5-inch reach. Kevin Jussett, 9-2, 30 years old, 6'2", 75 inch reach. This is going to be a banger, folks. I don't expect this fight to go the distance. Both of these guys go for the finish. Both of these guys got knockout power. And Kenan Song has won the last 3 out of his 5 fights. Kevin Jussett riding a 4-fight winning streak. Kenan Song plus 145 underdog. Kevin Jussett minus 170 favorite. I gotta go with Kevin Jussett to keep his winning streak alive, and I think he's gonna win this fight by knockout. I think he can knock out Kenan Song. I like his striking better. I think he's going to be faster. And I think he's going to have better cardio as well. My confidence level is a 6.5 out of 10. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's middleweight division, we have Andre Muniz versus Yong Park. Andre Muniz, 23-6, 33 years old, 6'1", 78-inch reach. Yong Park, 17-5, 32 years old, 5'10", 73-inch reach. Andre Muniz plus 180 underdog. Yong Park minus 220 favorite. I like Yong Park, man. I faded him in every single one of his UFC fights, and he's riding a 4-fight winning streak. That means he made me shut myself up 4 times, ladies and gentlemen. Andre Muniz riding a 2-fight losing streak, not a good look. His last win was almost 2 years ago to Uriah Hall, and I don't think Uriah Hall is in the UFC anymore. He won against Eric Anders, and he won against Ronaldo Souza. He lost against Paul Craig via knockout TKO, and he lost against Brendan Allan via submission. And I think he's going to get submitted here by Yong Park. Yong Park is very underrated. Like I said, I faded him all his fights in the UFC. Ever since he lost to Gregory Rodriguez, I've been faded him, and he's on a 4-fight winning streak, ladies and gentlemen. And I think he's gonna get it done again. He's gonna win here, folks, and I'm pretty confident. 8 out of 10 confidence level for Yong Park. I think Andre Muniz, unfortunately, is going down a path that UFC fighters don't like to take, and that's probably a downward spiral. So, unfortunately, I gotta go with Yong Park inside the distance, submission preferably though. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's lightweight division, we have Nasrat Haqparast versus Jamie Mullarkey. Nasrat Haqparast, 15-5, 28 years old, 5'10", 72-inch reach. Jamie Mullarkey, 17-6, 29 years old, 6'10", 74-inch reach. Nasrat Haqparast, minus 220 favorite, riding a 2-fight winning streak, winning the last 3 out of his 5 fights. Jamie Mullarkey, plus 180 favorite. He's also won the last 3 out of his 5 fights. And I like Jamie Mullarkey in this fight. I think he's a really good underdog on this card. And I might make him my dog of the card for UFC Fight Night Song versus Gutierrez. Because he's got height advantage. He's got reach advantage. And I think he's got the power advantage in this fight as well. Nasrat Haqparast, he's got KO power as well. But something telling me, my gut and my heart, I'm not going to fade my picks anymore. I'm not going to change my picks anymore. I don't care what anyone says. I think Jamie Mullarkey has a shot. and my confidence level is a 6.5 out of 10. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's flyweight division, we have Sumadaerji versus Allan Nascimento. Sumadaerji, he is 16 and 5, 27 years old, 5'8", 72-inch reach. Allan Nascimento, 20 and 6, 32 years old, 5'8", 69.5-inch reach. Sumadaerji, he's a plus 205 underdog. Allan Nascimento, minus 250 favorite. I think that line is a little bit off. Excuse me. Um, Sumadaerji, he's won the last 3 out of his 5 fights, and same for Allan Nascimento. Both of these guys, I think, are tough. Both of these guys, I think, I don't know, man. This is going to be a closer fight than the number says. I really do think so. I think Allan Nascimento should be like a minus 185, maybe minus 200 max. Um, but I gotta go with Allan Nascimento just because he's won the last two fights. He's on a 2-fight winning streak. He's won against Jake Hadley, pretty decent win. He won against Carlos Hernandez. That's a decent win as well. And he finished that fight. And Matt Schnell finished Sumadaerji. So I gotta go with Allan Nascimento. I think he's gonna submit Sumadaerji. Give me Allan Nascimento via submission. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is gonna be a banger, and I do not expect this fight to go the distance. We have Anthony Smith versus Khalil Rountree in the men's light heavyweight division. Anthony Smith, he's 37 and 18, 35 years old, 6'4", 76-inch reach, plus 200 underdog. Khalil Rountree, 12 and 5, 33 years old, 6'1", 76.5-inch reach, minus 240 favorite. I think that line is a little off, but I agree that Khalil Rountree should be the favorite. I mean, Anthony Smith is going to definitely have the UFC experience, definitely has fought the tougher competition, and he's definitely had been in much more wars than Khalil Rountree, and I think that's what worries me here in this fight. That Anthony Smith has been chinned. He's been cracked many times. He's been submitted many times. He's got 18 losses on his record. I can't bet someone who's got 18 losses on their record. Khalil Rountree has been looking like a monster lately. He's riding a 4-fight winning streak, ladies and gentlemen. And the last 4 out of his 5 fights, he's won by knockout. So give me Khalil Rountree Jr. to win by knockout against Anthony Smith. Pretty damn confident. My confidence level is a 7.5, maybe even an 8 out of 10. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is the main event of the evening for UFC Fight Night, Song versus Gutierrez. Before I give you my pick, before I give you my breakdown for the main event, do me a favor right now. It's totally free. Subscribe to my channel. I'm like 5 subscribers away from 400 subscribers. So help me get to 400 subscribers before the end of the year. You already know what we do on CJUFC. Picking for you. Blazing. The smoking. And you know what to do. We have Yadong Song versus Chris Gutierrez in the men's bantamweight division. Yadong Song, the Kung Fu Kid, 20 and 7, 26 years old, 5'8", 67-inch reach. Chris Gutierrez, 20-4, 32 years old, 5'9", 67-inch reach. Yadong Song, minus 370 favorite. Chris Gutierrez, plus 290 underdog. I do not blame you if you pick or bet on Chris Gutierrez. That's a pretty good line for him because this line is pretty wide in my opinion. But I do agree that Yadong Song should be the favorite. He should win this fight. He's got the knockout power, definitely got the knockout power. I think he's fought the tougher competition as well. They both lost um, in their last before their win in the last fight. The last loss that Chris Gutierrez had was to Pedro Munoz via decision, and Yadong Song unfortunately had that cut stoppage by the doctor to Corey Sandhagen. But we all know Yadong Song is a freaking dog, man. He can take some hits. He's got cardio. Chris Gutierrez also has cardio, but I believe this is Chris Gutierrez's first ever main event in his career in the UFC. So that might get to his head. Yadong Song has been under the bright lights before. He's been in main events before. He's been in plenty of 5-round fights. They have the same reach advantage, almost the same height, but Yadong Song younger, 26 years old. Chris Gutierrez, 32 years old, still in his prime, but everybody hates him because he's a boring fighter. He's a decision fighter. He doesn't really finish people. But he does have sneaky KO power. He did finish Bakhtiarel Dana, and he did finish Frankie Edgar. And I don't believe that Chris Gutierrez has been finished before. And if he has, it's been a while. But we all know that Yadong Song has got that knockout power. So I wouldn't be surprised if Yadong Song knocks out Chris Gutierrez. Somehow, some way, I think Yadong Song wins. But if this fight goes to a decision, I might live bet this fight. If this fight goes to like the fourth round, if the fifth round starts, I might bet Chris Gutierrez if it goes live. I'm staying away because honestly, I think this fight should be closer than the number says. But I'm going with Yadong Song. My confidence level is a 6.5, almost a 7 out of 10. And that was the breakdown, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the smoke sesh. I hope you enjoyed the picks. We're here each and every single week. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like the video. Comment on the video. Follow me on all of social media platforms. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Right here on YouTube. CJUFCPicks. We hope you enjoyed the video. And we'll see you next time, folks. For the pay-per-view card. Covington is gonna win. That's a spoiler. Haha, let's go! Have a good night, folks.